Hey everybody, it's another week, it's another tutorial, and it is good to be back. This is Michael with Strange Shapes, and this week we're making a pretty sweet effect. We're continuing on the kind of glitch theme that we've got going, but instead of doing the normal kind of glitch thing, which every channel seems to have, I wanted to do that, but put my own spin on it. So we added a shatter effect. It's kind of crazy. It's definitely not something that you usually pair together, but I had a ton of fun with it. I think you're going to like it too. Let's just jump in, have some fun with it, make something weird. Here we go. All right, folks, we've got a lot of ground to cover today, so I'm just going to try to move fast and breeze on through. So first thing we're going to do, hit new composition. We're going to call this one text. I'm doing 4K resolution, but as always, feel free to do what works for you. You can do 1440, you can do 1080p, whatever you want to do, whatever your rig can handle, whatever you feel comfortable with. We're going to keep the frame rate at 30, and we're going to set the duration to 12 seconds long. Hit OK. And then we're going to come up here to the text tool, click anywhere in the frame, and write out whatever you want. I'm going to do Electro Paradise. Go ahead and align that guy where you want it. The align tab's on the right. If you don't see it, you can just come up here to window, make sure it's checked off. I'm going to size this up. You don't want it to fill the entire space, but you do want it pretty big. Make sure it's all aligned, centered, looking good. Once you've got the text down, we're going to come over here to the new composition button. We're going to hit that. Type in glitch map for the layer name. Everything else is okay. Press OK. Then we're going to come down here to this panel. We're going to right click, go to new, solid. Everything else looks good. Make sure the solid is white. Hit OK. And then with the solid selected, you're going to come up here to effects and presets. Type in fractal noise. We want fractal noise. I'm going to double click that to apply and then change some of these parameters. So we're going to change the fractal type to dynamic, the noise type to block, the contrast to 650, the brightness to -55. Then we're going to open the transform section. We're going to uncheck uniform scaling, and we're just going to make the scale height 20. Lastly, what we're going to do is go to the evolution stopwatch. We're going to alt click it to make an expression and just type in time asterisk 1500. Time times 1500. Boom. That'll animate it, and now we get this staticky TV effect. This is exactly what we want. From there, we're just going to go and hit the new composition button again. We're going to call this guy glitch. We're going to hit OK, and then we're going to drag in the text layer and the glitch map layer. And glitch map, you don't need to see it, so you can hide that guy. And then with the text layer selected, we're going to hit that. We're going to come back to effects and presets. We're going to type in displacement map. That's what we want. I'm going to double click to add it to the text layer. And then I'm going to come up here to the displacement map layer and make sure that that is glitch map. And now you can kind of already see the effects starting to form, but we're going to keep going to make it look even better. So we're going to come down here, make sure your timeline's at the beginning. And then under the effect controls, you're going to hit the stopwatch for max horizontal displacement and max vertical displacement. Okay. Then on this layer, you're going to hit the U key so that you can keep track of the keyframes. And what we're going to do is change these ever so slightly and randomly. So I'm going to do that for every 5 frames. So once I have those first ones done, I'm going to hit the page down button 5 times to move forward 5 frames, and then just kind of keep this random and do that a whole bunch. You don't want them to go away too far from each other. Like, you don't want it to be like anything crazy like that. So I found within 30 to 40, I'd say it's okay. But we're just going to do that randomly a few times. There's no real system to it. Just make sure they're not too far out there and that they're different each time. Cool. Once you've got that to about 1 second, to make it faster, I'm just going to select all these keyframes, hit Control C to copy them, move forward 5 frames, hit Control V to paste them. I'm going to do that until I fill up the entire timeline with these. So then I'll move to the end of the next set, hit that button, that page down button 5 times, paste those again, move forward to the next set, 5 times, the page down, Control V to paste, and so on and so forth till I filled up the whole timeline. Cool. And now you can see we have this crazy glitch effect. Awesome. Yours will probably look very different because, again, these are all random, and that is a good thing. All right, so next we're going to come over here and make another comp. We're making a bunch of comps today. Comp City. We're going to name this one RGB because this is where we're going to apply our color effects. Going to do that, and then you can drag in the glitch comp down into this layer, and we're going to duplicate that puppy 3 times. So, I'm sorry, we're going to have 3 copies. We're only going to duplicate it twice. So if you just select the layer, hit Control D once, Control D again, then you'll have 3 copies just like that. Next, you're going to come over here to Effects and Presets. We're going to type in Shift Channels. This is usually the best way to apply the kind of glitch color effect. If you've been watching my videos, you've seen that I love this effect actually. It's very handy. Anyway, what we're going to do, we're going to take this Shift Channels, we're going to copy it, paste it on all the glitch layers, and then starting with the bottom one, we're going to just keep the red as it is, and under green we're going to turn that full off and blue full off. And then we're going to move up to the next one, the middle. We're going to turn off red, we're going to keep green, and we're going to turn off blue. And then, yep, you guessed it, we're going to turn off the other 2, but we're going to keep blue. The next thing we're going to do is just select all those layers, go to mode. If you can't see mode, you can come down here, hit this button, it'll toggle it so you can see it. Going to change all of those to screen, and then lastly, make sure the timeline's at the beginning, hit the page down key twice. Whoops, you don't want them all selected. And you're just going to displace them all by 2 frames. And now, as you can see, we have the glitch. Something that I found that's a little handy is if you just move the timeline just like that, select your comps and move them to the left a little bit, so they start on the white lettering. Otherwise, you can see it'll start on the colors that we just applied to them. Cool. If it looks like this, this is perfect. You're on the right track. All right, the next thing we're going to do is make another comp. Told you guys we're making all kinds of comps today. We're going to call this guy Initial Effects. Hit OK. We're going to drag in that comp we just made, RGB. And then we're going to go back to Effects and Presets, clear that out, and we're going to add the main bread and butter of this effect, shatter. Go ahead and apply that, and you'll see this weird brick screen, and that's okay, because we're about to change this all for the better. So once you're here, you're going to come over here to the shatter effect. I'm going to open up Shape, Force, 1, and Physics. Those are the only 3 categories that you need to open up because those are where the parameters are that we are going to change. Once those are open up, we're just going to work our way down the list and change some of these guys. So under View, we're going to change that to Rendered so that we can actually see what we're doing to the composition. Under Pattern, we're going to go to Glass. Repetitions, we're going to bring that up to 60. We're going to turn down the extrusion depth all the way to 0, and we're going to set the strength at 0.04. We're going to move down to rotation speed, make that 0.35. Randomness we're going to put at 1. Mass variance, 61%. And we're going to kill gravity, 0. Once all of those are looking groovy, we're going to make sure that we have that layer selected. We're going to come back to Effects and Presets, and we're going to type in Gridler. This is the other crux of the glitch effect. Well, not so much. This is more the CRT effect. Anyway, we're going to change the horizontal scale to 25, tile size to 1, and now it should look like an old TV screen. Cool. Lastly, for this effect, we're going to duplicate this RGB layer. Then we're going to select the bottom layer. We're going to kill that shatter effect. You can just hit it or click it and delete it. And then what we're going to do is move the timeline to about 1 second and 5 frames. Yeah, 1 second, 5 frames. Perfect. We're going to move this guy all the way down. So what we're essentially doing is cropping the time on the comp. You can either click and drag it from the right, or if you're on PC, you can hold Alt and the right bracket. And then we want the top of the timeline to just move. You can just click and drag this guy so that it starts right where the other one ends. And this is just to prolong the glitch effect a little bit so that it doesn't immediately start with a shatter. So now yours should look something like this. Awesome. After you've got those layers where you want them on the timeline, we're going to come over here, make yet another composition, and we're going to label this shatter main. Everything else is okay. You can hit OK. And then we're going to drag in initial effects down here. And then let's go back to the initial effects comp just so that we can grab that shatter effect. So go ahead and click that shatter effect, hit Control C to copy it, go back to the shatter main comp, click initial effects, Control V to paste. And then just like we did last time, we're going to open up shape, we're going to open up force 1, and we're going to open up physics. And then we're going to get weird with these guys. So we want to make sure that the view is on rendered, which it should be. And then we're going to come down here to pattern, and we're going to change this to squares and triangles, just to give it a little variation. We're going to keep the repetitions at 60. We're going to keep the extrusion depth at 0.0. And then go ahead and come down here to the timeline, move it to about 2 seconds. Go over here under force 1 to radius, hit that stopwatch, change it to 0.10, move that guy all the way up to the 4 second mark, go back to radius, change it to 0.80. If you haven't already, I would come down here to the effect and hit the U key just so that we can ensure that those keyframes are where they need to be. They look like this. They are in the right spot. And then we're going to come back up here to the effects panel and finish changing these. So we're going to change the strength over here to 1 for this layer. Rotation speed can stay at 35. Randomness can stay at 1. And everything else should stay the same. Awesome. Then we're going to come down here to this layer. We can hide that U key. We're going to hit Control D to duplicate initial effects. And then we're going to do the same thing we just did. We're going to open up shape. We're going to open up force 1. We're going to open up physics on the new layer. And we're going to make this guy a little more unique. So come back up here to pattern. We're going to change that back to glass. We're going to move the repetitions up to 200. Extrusion depth stays at 0, but we're going to change the strength to 0.50. Everything else stays the same. We're going to come back down here, make sure that second layer is selected, hit Control D. On this one, all that we're going to change is the mass variance. So you just have to open up physics, go to mass variance. We're just going to change it a little bit. We're going to change it to 50% instead of 61. And we're going to come back down here, hit Control D one more time. And we're going to do the same thing that we have been doing. So we're going to open up shape, we're going to open up force 1, we're going to open up physics. We're going to change the repetitions to just 100, and we're going to change the rotation speed to 0.15. All right, we're getting close. We're going to come back over here, make another comp. We're going to label this one lens map just to give it a little bit of a cool added flair to the edges. We're going to right click in this panel down here, go to new solid, again make sure it's white, hit OK, and then you're going to deselect that layer, come up here to the ellipse tool, make sure that the fill is on black and that it's solid color, hit OK. Hold shift and drag that ellipse till it's pretty big, and you can use a line, and you just want it pretty much to fill up the entire center. Cool. And then we're going to come over here, make sure the shape layer is selected. Go to effects and presets and type in Gaussian blur. We're going to add that to this. Under blurriness, we're going to set it at 550, and then we're going to uncheck repeat edge pixels so that it looks like that. Cool. All right, guys, we're getting close, I promise, but I will ask you to make yet another new composition. We're going to call this one render, hit OK, and we're going to drag in a few of these bad boys. So we're going to drag in initial effects, we're going to drag in shatter main on top, we're going to drag in that lens map we just made, and then we're going to hide the lens map. And then come down here, click on initial effects. We're going to do the same thing that we did with the previous timeline. So we're going to move that up to 1 minute and 5 frames. And we're going to move shatter main so that it starts right there. Again, this is to preserve the text for just a second until the shatter starts. Now this is an optional effect. You don't actually have to make it linger for a second. You can immediately start with the shatter if you wanted to, but I've just found this gave it a little more oomph when you can see the text for a second and then see the shatter. Anyway, we're gonna make sure that initial effects is checked. We're gonna come up here to effects and presets. We're gonna go to brightness and contrast, and we're just gonna bump the brightness up by 50 so that it kind of stays consistent when it changes to the shatter effect. It doesn't seem as abrupt. Cool. Next, what you want to do is come down to this panel. You're going to right click in this frame, go to new adjustment layer. We're going to call this one lens blur. Then we're going to come back to effects and presets. We're going to type in camera lens blur. Go ahead and double click that to apply it. We're going to come up here, change the blur radius to 10, the shape to octagon, and down here on the blur map, we're just going to change that to the lens map. Boom. Now your screen might look different depending on resolution or size, so feel free to mess with this. All you have to do is go back into that lens map and play with this circle. So you can make it wider if you want, smaller, and it'll affect the lens. See, now it's just the edges that are blurred. That's what we want. Cool. Then we're going to come down here, right click again, make another adjustment layer. We're going to label this one glow, and then you guessed it, we're going to come up here to effects and presets, type in glow, and we're going to add a slight glow effect. We're going to come up here, make sure that the threshold is set at 80, the glow radius is going to be 10, and the intensity 1.5. And then we are going to make our final adjustment layer. So once again, right click this in this frame, go to new adjustment layer. We're going to label this one noise. We're going to come back up here, effects and presets, type in noise, double click that sucker to add it. And then we're just going to set a 5% noise on there. Awesome. And now we should have the effect. Yeah, pretty awesome, guys. Pretty awesome. That's essentially it for the effect, but what I did do is I made the very last new comp, I promise. Label this one, whoops, time reverse, hit OK. And then I dragged in the render comp. I did the same thing, so I cropped the time to 6 seconds on the timeline. Clicked it, I duplicated it, then I right-clicked it in the timeline, went to the time section right here, and hit time reverse layer. And then what I did was I just dragged it all the way to the right so that it started where this one ended. And now we have the full effect. So it shatters and then it rebuilds itself. Yeah, pretty awesome, guys. It looks pretty blurry right now because my resolution is set at a quarter of what it will render as. My computer hates me right now because this effect is pretty intensive, so it'll look even sharper in the final effect. Anyway, guys, that's the whole glitchy explosion effect. I hope you had a lot of fun. Let me know in the comments what you think. This one was a weird combination of different effects. I do want to shout out to Sonduk Films channel. They helped me with that shatter and glitch effect a lot. They're awesome. Go ahead and check them out if you want to, if you don't already know about them. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had fun, and I hope you learned something. If you did, it means a lot if you like the video and or subscribe to my channel. I would love it. I love doing this for you guys, and the more people that watch and subscribe, the more I can actually make this into a regular thing. Anyway, guys, that's the video. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys have a great week. Looking forward to next week. And until then, keep making cool stuff. All right, catch you later.